in a business culture, it should be outwardly focused.
Yes.
The culture should be about how do you influence the customer more effective? How do you influence those that are part of the in culture that are members of the company? And then you look at, okay, so now we have our culture defined. How do we actually execute and re-execute day after day after day so that the vision of the company is not lost after the leader passes on?
To me, I look at a business as a person.
Okay.
And so like the collective person or the collective business, and like the culture is the soul.
Okay.
It's the soul. Like, it's like when I'm making decisions as a person, like I'm making those against like different, like, you don't have that from a business perspective. You don't, but if you have that lens or that filter in order to kind of filter things through, that's what culture is. Like, that's what I love. Like, that's what KW is. Like, you can literally feel it has a culture. I've worked for other organizations, and KW has a unique culture that I've never had anywhere else. But what it allows me to do is, we're entrepreneurial, top producing, driven company, and so then I operate that way.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense?
Of course, because there's unity, right? There's a binding thread throughout a company where others around you have the same standard and belief system.
Right.
And therefore everyone is greater as a collective because of that unifying belief system.
Even though we're separate,
that's right,
we still have a culture of top producing, entrepreneurship, business minded. And what's so great is because I'm wired that way, this is perfect for me. And some people come in here and it's not for them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I feel like it's almost like it has to be a two-way street. It has to fit for me and it has to fit for you.
So when you think about culture, one of the examples, I think, when we look at all of the aspects that allow an organization to, after they've defined their culture, to then implement and execute repetitively.
Right.
One of the good examples, I think, is Disney. And why Disney, I think, is an easy example for me to see is because most everything that we have seen or see now as it pertains to Disney is done without Walt Disney.
Right.
It was almost like probably, if Disney,
the mouse.
if Steamboat
you would recognize
Willie,
the mouse.
Yeah, if Steamboat Willie was like 1920s, and Walt passed away in the early 70s, then everything in modern Disney culture lived after the visionary founder.
Wow.
And so how has the company sustained itself and grown for this long after the passing of the visionary founder? Well, when we look at how like some of the oldest cultures in the world have existed, you think about like, you have the Roman culture, you have Egyptian culture, you have Mayan cultures. You have cultures that really were very ancient yet lived on.
Right.
That lived before and after a great flood, or at least their stories did.
Right.
And so one of the aspects of culture that an organization has to have is a culture of stories.
Right.
What stories do you tell and retell to remind everyone of the lineage and the expectations of the organization? When you think about the Christian religion, you hear the same stories told time and time again. The story of Noah. For the most part, every major religion has a story of the great flood.
Right.
And there's a different individual in every great flood through every major religion. Christian faith has Noah as the focal point of the great flood. And that story is a filter in which you can think and act.
Right.
It's part of the culture. And then a great culture has symbols.
Yeah.
And logos, or has different signs that you recognize.
Right.
And unify with.
Right.
There's the Yankees.
Yeah. I was going to say the Cowboys, they have a star.
The Cowboys, that's right.
You have a star. You have like literally what we're building is
you said a mouse with
a mouse.
Disney.
Yeah, the mouse. Like what? Like and like with sport teams or like with logos to your business, those are symbols that we wear logos on. You wear a logo on your shirt.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, and that bonds people together. Even when you're in like breakout session, you have team this and team that. Then they bring in and they form little subcultures within the business, and they identify and they gravitate towards that symbol.
So that's one of the other unifying pieces of culture that an organization must have in order to continue to grow and continue to achieve that vision is organizational and power structures. So a great example might be subgroups, and then overlapping subgroups where they're really maybe conflicting or very opposite personalities.
Yep.
Yet they have to organize collectively together in order to contribute to the betterment of the organization.
Right.
And so, there needs to be an overlap between operations and sales. Not all the time. Mm-hmm. However, there needs to be that overlap in order for them to be a level of understanding and a level of mutual respect and the difference between each division of the company so that it's unified.
Right. Yeah, because then you can actually have some division like where sales is against, and admins. Those guys are out overpaid. And I remember I worked for a builder, and it was kind of like division within the organization.
So in order to create unity through power and organization structures, there needs to be a defined set of like command or a defined hierarchy of handoffs or of like roles.
Right.
And then there needs to be a mutual respect and understanding by having some instances of overlap. And then a great culture from a business perspective or from all cultures perspective has to have a set of shared routines and rituals.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that most people, like, I think our generation has been roughly the worst generation for traditions and rituals. We have pretty well eradicated every ritual and tradition that America had from a culture perspective.
Yeah. This is what my wife struggles with. Every I'm going to tell you, every Christmas day, my wife watches The Christmas Story.
Okay.
Over and over and over again. Literally, the TV
Why?
is
I've heard
because
of people
she's
doing this.
always done it.
Okay.
And so when we got together, I'm sitting here watching The Christmas Story. Guess what I do?
Yeah.
Bleak. Man, she looked at me like she was gonna kill me because you know what, baby, I've watched this movie 1,000,000 times my entire life.
Yeah.
Why are we watching it every hour? Because I've always done it this way.
So what does she gain from that, by the way? So I've tried to fix that or eradicate that. And so I'm guilty of getting rid of tradition because it's boring, right? Or you've seen it, you're like, okay,
and then
cool,
you
why are we
inflict it
doing
on
this
other
again?
people because now I have a tradition of watching the Christmas Story.
But what do you think the benefit of that tradition is to her?
Comfort.
It's comfort. That's right. It's certainty, right? And so tradition actually creates centering of certainty for an organization.
It's the way it's always done, man.
And oddly enough, when we get rid of tradition, we oftentimes start to erode the culture of a family, a country.
I realize that now. Yeah, I feel like I think that we as humans conflate.
Okay.
And so I'm going to, I don't want to make this about Christian, I feel like all this, like the coronavirus has kind of taken all of our models, our systems, our habits away. And so like it affected the church. So like you can't, like my wife, she would get upset because like the music is, gone. And the point is for this, but I guess the point is to hear the message.
Yeah.
But when we go there, we go for other things. Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
Yes.
Because it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And then I think the church has kind of done that where they have fog machines, they have music, they have production, and people are going for a concert.
Okay.
And then they're sprinkling in a message.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And that's not the way it's supposed to be.
That's no
Well,
Lutheran service.
What's that?
That's no Lutheran service.
Well, here's where I'm going to challenge this is that
Okay, challenge it.
if one tradition is replaced or removed, that there needs to be a new substitute in place
it's the 11 o'clock contemporary service.
right. So like if we're going to remove like the hymnal songs,
But to me,
then
like,
we have to replace them with a new tradition.
Well,
I don't think
you
that-
add a service. That's what the old school, because my mom would be like, I just like to go to traditional services every Sunday morning.
And that was message
8
based.
a.m.
Was it? Would you call traditional like all message?
Let's let the pastor's daughter talk.
Pastor daughter, let's go.
Daughter.
I mean, at least in my experience with your mom's church, because I grew up Methodist, but Lutheran, it's what the traditional stuff is, like hymnals are the only songs you're going to be singing.
Yep.
But you also get like a pamphlet. You show up and you get like 6 pages stapled together
tradition.
of everything you're going to go through.
Yep.
And they read through it. And yeah, like it's very old school. It's on paper.
You know,
Hymns.
you can set your clock to it.
Yes.
So there's a message involved, and then Mike, you go to church because of the message, right? Is what I hear.
No. So, like, I think that's the problem.
Okay.
You
Help
feel
me
guilty
understand.
that you don't go for the message.
What do you?
No,
go
I don't feel guilty at
Oh.
all.
What
Like,
do you go
I
for?
feel like, I want to. I feel like church is like. I feel like my pastor is like my real estate coach.
Okay, so you go for the way
Guidance.
you think. Okay.
The
So,
way that I want to expand my thinking.
okay.
You don't have to play music.
And to clarify, you don't mean he's guiding you on real estate.
No.
It could
thank you for
sound
clarifying
confusing,
that.
yeah.
yeah.
So-
No, what I'm saying is this. I feel like a lot of times we think those things are God.
Yeah.
We conflate. We worship the Cowboys on Sunday.
Sure, I get
Like
that.
I feel like we are conflating with
that's
the
where you're
church. I feel like when we go and we feel like we're okay because we did this and we did this and we did this, when that has nothing to do with what's in there, with what we're here for. And I think that is for us to feel comfortable and not necessarily the objective.
Yeah, the objective is to actually have a change or an influence,
Relationship.
not to check a box. It's
And
not
I feel like
yeah.
we're checking boxes.
Sure, I agree with you. But let's look from a culture perspective, though, at how we can. And you're
sorry.
right. No,
I got
you're
deep.
right. How I want to like help a listener understand is that in order for a church to continue or a religion to continue its cultural.
To perpetuate it. You're
Yes.
right. You're right.
So then you have to have an entire
you have to have those
package
things. Yeah.
of things that cause that culture to perpetuate.
Yeah.
There has to be a set of rituals and traditions.
I think we've done a really good job of it. I think we've done a good job of rituals, like literally systems and models, like defining systems and models. And that's why we have huge mega churches now. That's why we have Zillow breathing down our neck, because they figured out systems and models.
Yeah. But remember, the reason that Amy goes to church is because of the music.
Yeah.
Is one reason why that person is part of the culture.
Right.
And so if you go for the way of thinking and the impact that it has, now the culture is ingrained in you as well.
Right.
And so as a company and as a collective of people, the retention and the way of acting and interacting is multifaceted.
It is.
Because what works for you doesn't work for Amy.
Absolutely.
But yet you have one layer of unity, and that layer of unity is what brings you together, and that's the belief in the common core of values and belief system of the Christian religion.
Yeah.
And so when we think about building a large company, we have to figure out how do we unify people, and then how do we continue to perpetuate our unity of messaging and beliefs. And in order to do that, there has to be symbols, there has to be stories, you have to have tradition, trophies.
Have every month salesperson of the month. Have rituals like your quarterly, like we have Red Day, where we come together collectively, and bond. Do all those things, like have common, and you can infuse that into your business.